Live Zone. Well, the BBC has apologized to President Trump for an episode that spliced parts of his January 6, 2021 speech together, but rejected his demands for compensation. The corporation said the edit had given the mistaken impression that President Trump had made a direct call for violent action and said it would not show the 2024 program ever again. Joining us to discuss this is Mr. William Barclay. He recently published an article about this in the Western Standard. He now joins us right here on the Live Zone. Mr. Barclay, good to see you, sir, and welcome to the show.
Thank you all so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be back with you. I just want to give a little shout out to everyone at the Western Standard. You guys are the best newspaper out in Canada, in my opinion. I encourage everyone to go check them out.
So let's but of course, let's jump right into this. There are so many folks that are still trying to wrap their heads around this. Obviously, the BBC, very prominent in Europe. Folks that do not watch that news outlet and hopefully watch us right here at Fox. Tell us how we got to this point.
Well, unfortunately, the BBC's campaign of disinformation against President Trump and the right wing of the political spectrum, well, it's not really an isolated incident or even uncommon in the UK. Rather, all right-wing politics and conservative values have become openly attacked and oppressed as a result of the hyper-left-wing ideology and fascist politics that currently dominate British society. I mean, firstly, all right-wing political discourse and commentary is relentlessly censored and oppressed. I think it's 30 people are arrested every day in the UK for petty offences such as retweets and cartoons. And newspapers, news media organizations throughout the UK, like the BBC, overwhelmingly refuse to feature conservative viewpoints and routinely manipulate public discourse in order to misconstrue all right-wing ideology as inherently violent and undemocratic. Moreover, right-wing political actors are severely persecuted and oppressed in the UK. For instance, Graham Linehan, an Irish writer and critic of the hyper-liberal ideology that currently dominates the UK, well, he was confronted by 5 armed guards at London Heathrow Airport and arrested for inciting violence due to the fact that on Twitter, or X, he was openly critical of so-called trans-identified males and female-only spaces. Finally, left-wing politicians and the media edifices that dominate the UK government, well, they've shamelessly abused the UK's laws and fundamental democratic processes in an effort to extinguish all right-wing ideology and politics throughout the United Kingdom. For example, Christian ideology and conservative religious discourse has been openly persecuted. And in 2023 alone, actually, the UK government leveraged warped interpretations of vague laws that criminalize things like annoyance and anxiety in order to wrongfully arrest over 12,000 people. 12,000!
With that, Mr. Barclay, not to cut you off, but I just have a little bit of time, and I want to make sure that we cover the entire story. And so I fully understand what you're saying, but I also want to make sure that the viewers understand what happens next. Meaning that the BBC has apologized to President Trump, but they say we're not going to compensate you in any way, form, or fashion. Is that the right thing for the BBC to do, in your mind?
No, absolutely not. I think the BBC needs to come clean and own up to what they've done. I think it's a little bit of too little, too late. I think what we've seen is mirrored around the world in countries like the U.S. as this bone-white ghoul of populism has been invoked and trotted out in an effort to frighten and shame people away from the right wing of the political spectrum and ignore the bedrock of any democracy. It's people, and there needs to be a profound apology for that.
All right. Well, we'll have to leave it there. Yet again, this is something that will continue to unfold right before our very eyes. I'm really curious as to what will happen. We know that the president, obviously, he has won a plethora, if you will, of lawsuits in the past targeting media outlets and or institutions. And so perhaps the BBC is his next target. We'll have to wait and see. Mr. Barclay, folks that want to find out more information about you, how would one go about to do so?
They can check me out on Twitter at Will Barclay at PCBG, or you guys can stop by the Western Standard, where I'm the parliamentary correspondent, and you can find all my articles for the Western Standard over there. Thank you guys so much.
Good stuff. Always good to see you, my friend. Thank you so much for joining us on the Live Zone. All right, folks.